Hi, good morning. I want to welcome everybody to the International Students webinar for the University of Illinois Master of Computer Science and Master of Computer Science and Data Science admission webinar. My name's Diana Sunshine and I work at Coursera, and I'm excited to be chatting with everybody today. So the first thing I wanted everyone to do is to get used to Zoom. If you go into Zoom, you can see that you can go into the chat function and you can type into all the panelists and participants where you're from. So I'm going to write in, I'm signing in from Silicon Valley. And hopefully we can see everybody else saying where they're coming from as well. There we go. I see Serge from Belgium. Wonderful. And then the other thing is that when we start doing the questions, you'll see that there is a Q&A button at the bottom as well. And that's where we prefer you to put your questions. If you do put questions in the chat, I'll try to keep my eyes open for those, but it's much better if you go into the Q&A. That will make sure that we answer all of your questions. So without further ado, I'm going to be turning this over to John and Viveka to walk us through all the amazing things about this program.
Great. Welcome, everybody. I'm John Hart. I'm the Director of Online and Professional Programs in Computer Science. And
I'm Viveka Kudaligama. I'm the Coordinator for CS Graduate Programs.
And we're going to walk through some of the basics of the MCS program that we offer online through the Coursera platform, and talk about some of the admissions issues, especially for international students, if you have any questions about that. So why don't we go ahead and start with some slides. Okay, so let me share the screen and select the slides. There. So hopefully everybody can see the slides.
Just to, if you cannot see the slides, please do let us know in the chat space.
Okay. So what are we looking for in admissions to the MCS-DS program that we offer on the Coursera platform through the University of Illinois? We're looking for students interested in a master's degree in computer science. And we're finding an increasing number of those students are multidisciplinary. Before we launched this on the Coursera platform, a large number of the students that would apply were coming to us with bachelor's degrees in computer science. Now we're seeing students with bachelor's degrees in other sciences, in the humanities, in the arts, in the life sciences, in a wide variety of areas. And people seem to want to add an MCS degree to show their expertise in computer science or data science on top of some disciplinary degree. So we've set the program up to be able to provide a master's degree in computer science for both computing professionals with a computing undergraduate, as well as other disciplinary expertises that want to show expertise in computer science and data science. With that said, we do need some programming in the undergraduate or prior coursework in programming, because all of our students need to be able to get through the graduate coursework in computer science. And that coursework begins at the 400 level, at the senior undergraduate and first year graduate level. So we have some important prerequisites for the program, things like data structures, algorithms, and object-oriented design. We expect all of our incoming students to have 3 courses in computer science already. You know, a course in programming, a course in data structures, and some coursework in object-oriented design, algorithms, and so on. So we really look for that. Even if you have a bachelor's degree in some other field, you need to have that coursework as well in order to make it through our computer science coursework. The University of Illinois is a top 5 computer science program. The coursework is very difficult. We want to make sure that everybody has the tools necessary to be able to succeed through the courses. Some other requirements are everybody that is admitted has to have a bachelor's degree. And so we can't use a corresponding work experience or other experience to substitute for that bachelor's degree. You have to have a bachelor's degree to get a master's degree. And that bachelor's degree, as I said before, doesn't need to be in computer science. It can be in another field. Also, we have a baseline GPA expectation of 3.2 and up. Typically what we do is we sort everybody that has the corresponding prerequisites and has the corresponding necessary bachelor's degree. Then we start looking at GPA and grades in key courses like data structures and programming and so on. And we like to, we want to see, you know, A's in those key courses and an average of 3.2 or higher as a baseline for admissions. We do use holistic admissions criteria. So we look at the entire application. We want to make sure that we give everybody a good look for admissions and every consideration for admissions. If you're delinquent in one area, sometimes that can be made up in another area. We also look for linear algebra and basic statistics and probability. So, you know, a math course in linear algebra, working with matrices, and you know, a stats course, some kind of stats probability course. For the programming, as I mentioned before, a data structures course and a programming course. And it's also, I like to see a third course that's beyond that. Typically, we like to see at least one course after data structures that we look for to see how you're going to do in a, you know, in a core computer science course. So that will help strengthen your application. It also, most students know Python or R or other scripting languages. It's good to know a production programming language like C++ or Java, something geared towards performance as opposed to a scripting language. So it'll help your application, it'll make it stronger if you can show some evidence of knowing C++ or Java. Some of our courses, if you're going to do cloud computing, the core libraries for cloud computing are written in Java. You can get through that using Python, but you're really shortchanging yourself on being able to use the features that, you know, that professional cloud computing programmers use, and those are in Java. We use C++ for other courses, including data mining and a few others. And at the graduate level, we expect students to be able to pick up languages. So our applied machine learning course uses R, and our Stats 420 or Stats programming course uses R. And so if you haven't had R before, you'll be able to pick it up. At this stage, you should be comfortable learning a new language while you're taking a course, and we factor that into the course. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think this is good.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't you take this slide then?
Right. So in terms of what the application involves, the first link gives you a lot of information on our website about what's needed. So as you prepare to submit your application, we highly recommend that you go take a look at that website. It has an FAQ page attached, because there are some details that you might look at the original information and still have questions. So please do make a note of that URL. And so the application is an all online application that is run through our graduate college website. For fees, since this is for the international applicants, it's a $90 fee for the application. And at the end of completing your application, you will be asked to make the payments. Payment is included in the application being complete, so please pay attention to that part as well.
Yeah, we cannot consider an application until those fees are paid. Those fees cover the processing of the application and are a necessary part of the consideration.
So what are then the elements of the application that you would submit? There is option to provide 3 letters of recommendation. John, do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned before, we use a holistic approach. Our primary consideration is going to be that bachelor's degree, the appropriate prerequisites, data structures, algorithms, and you know, higher level CS course if you've got one. So we'll look at your CS coursework to make sure you can get through the courses in CS at the graduate level. And then the third is GPA, to make sure that the GPA, and typically it's the GPA of your last 2 years of your bachelor's degree or your most recent degree, But we'll look at the GPA in making that determination. And beyond that, if there are some concerns, we get many students that are kind of on the bubble, borderline students. We'll look for things like letters of recommendation. For example, you don't have a course in C++ or Java. If you have a letter of recommendation that addresses that you've done specific programs, and it's always good to have the letter of recommendation come from somebody that can speak specifically about your programming ability. Then they can talk about your ability to program in C++ or Java or do some other task. That can we'll look to a letter of recommendation for that. If you don't have a letter of recommendation, if everything else is fine, then we don't need the letter of recommendation. But it's always good to have those there if any deficiencies need to be addressed. Same with the statement of purpose, and same with the curriculum vitae or resume. We'll look to those if there's some question about the materials in the transcript in terms of your degree, your GPA, and your prior coursework. So the primary concerns are you have to make sure you have all of your transcript material uploaded, because that's the main thing we'll be looking for in this consideration. But we will refer to the letters of recommendation, statement of purpose, and resume if there are some questions.
So let me piggyback on that. In your resume, we do ask when you list, for example, if you're employed, please let us know where you are physically located, because that helps us in establishing whether we will require your TOEFL IELTS scores. So instead of saying, for example, let's say Microsoft Research, please also say where you are. Would you be here in the US? Would you be in India or China? Include the location. One of the questions we get is, for example, in your statement of purpose or even in letters of recommendation, is there a formatting requirement? Is there a length requirement? And there are no requirements in terms of what that length should be or what the formatting should be. So that's a fairly flexible option you have. Let me get to the transcripts, which, as John said, is one of the very important parts of your application. At the time of application, we only need your unofficial transcripts. So you can scan it in from the transcripts you have. And in some countries, this would be mark sheets, and those are fine. What we do need is to see all the classes that you have taken, the grades that you have received, and then the grading scale that your institution uses. Usually these can be found in the back of the transcript page, or sometimes they are the last page of your transcripts or mark sheets. So please make sure that you include at least one page of that grading scale. That is to help us normalize the GPAs or the grades to a 4.0 scale that we have to look at here at this end. This is one of the things that we see a lot of applicants not submitting the correct or the complete documents. This is why I'm just wanting to re-emphasize this. A full and complete and legible transcript. Once you scan it and save it, take another look and see that you can read all the information. We do see applications that have illegible transcripts, and we have to then check to see, we have to either follow up with the applicants, and that takes time. So it's in your best interest to submit a clean transcript copy. If you are admitted at that point, then the university would require you to send official transcripts and a copy of your degree certificate that is sent directly from the university. So if you're admitted at that point, we can have another conversation about what needs to be sent. But for now, it's just the unofficial transcripts. And then the standardized tests. It's a very common question, do we need GRE or GMAT scores? We do not require those scores. If you have taken the tests and you have the scores available, you can again scan it into a PDF copy, the exam report, and just attach it to your application. You do not need to send the official scores through ETS, but just include it in your application as an attachment.
I'm going to reshare the slides.
Yes.
Hang on one moment. Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. The next common question is whether you have to submit TOEFL or IELTS scores. So on the screen, you can see the necessary scores. The TOEFL scores are the total scores, and these are for what we call full status admissions. So the online students do need to meet full status scores to be admitted into the degree program. So please make a note of this. If you haven't taken the exams yet, please do plan to take the exams. It's without the scores, unless you meet a waiver condition, the graduate college and the department will not be able to admit you to a grad program. There are a couple of exemptions that international students are eligible to. It's not on the slide, but you can go into their website and see the requirements, and I can just briefly mention those. One is if in the past 5 years, if you have received a degree from an institution in an eligible country. So those eligible countries can also be found on the graduate college website. This is based on the country and not based on the medium of instruction that you completed your degree programs. For example, I come from a place where my undergraduate degree was all completed in English, but it is not on the list of eligible countries. So I would therefore not be eligible to have the waiver. The second exemption is if you have been working in a country that is on that list of exempted countries, and if you have had 2 years of work experience or more, that would also get you an exemption. And you can see all the information if you go to our website and also at the graduate college website. And if you have questions, we'll be happy to answer that on email if you have specific questions. So for example, we are seeing some questions pop up on the Q&A. For example, for international students who have been pursuing for PhD degree in the US right now, can TOEFL be waived? The requirement is that you need to have 2 years of education in the US to be eligible for this waiver. So if you had just started your PhD degree, then you would not be eligible, but if you had 2 years, then yes.
Okay. Next slide.
And yeah.
Okay. Great. So tuition for the program, we charge by the credit hour, and that's a feature that we're able to give to our students through the Coursera platform that's not available to some of our other online programs or to our students on campus. There you would have to pay range tuition, and you even have to pay tuition if you're enrolled in a program and you don't take any courses. This program offered on the Coursera platform, the MCS program, is offered, it's a pay-as-you-go. So you only pay for the courses you take. You have to take 8 courses to complete the degree, so you'll be paying for 8 courses only, even if you need to take a semester off. Certain life events, career, family, and so on can pop up, and you'll need to take a semester off, and that's fine. You won't be charged anything. All we ask is that you let us know in those cases so that we can make sure that you're still engaged in the material. We like to hear back from all of our students, even the ones that aren't taking a class that particular semester. So $600 per credit hour. The program requires 32 credit hours. Each course is 4 credit hours, so that's 8 courses, 8 4-credit hour courses. So that comes to $2,400 per course, and that means the entire program, the entire degree, the tuition is $19,200. So it's under $20,000 in tuition, which is a real bargain for a master's degree, especially in computer science, especially from this computer science department and its ranking. But also because of that pay-as-you-go manner. In addition to that, there are going to be some additional fees. There's always fees. Our on-campus students have to pay fees for healthcare and many other things. We've eliminated those fees for our online students in this program, but there still are fees that you will need to pay for as an online student to cover the additional costs. One is that our courses are offered on the Coursera platform through MOOCs. And each one of our courses consists of 2 MOOCs worth of lectures. So these MOOCs are the same videos that students will see on the MOOC platform, but there's a big difference between the course delivered as an open enrollment MOOC and the course delivered to our enrolled students for credit. So if you sign up for any of the 2 MOOCs that are used for any of our courses, it's similar to being on campus and sitting in on a class. You can audit a class. You can just show up for a class, not register for the class, and you'll get the benefit of the lectures. And if students are taking a quiz and then the quiz is graded by the neighboring student, you could take part in that in the class. That's called auditing a course. And you don't get a grade, you don't get credit, you don't pay tuition for it. It's just sitting in on a course to kind of learn the material. That's similar to going to the Coursera platform and taking one of the MOOCs from our courses. You would pay Coursera the fee to handle the assignments, the peer graded and auto graded assignments, but you would be basically getting the benefit of the lectures only. When you sign up for one of our courses, you get not only the benefit of those lectures, but you get additional material that we require in order for you to get transcripted credit and a degree for this material. And so that transcripted credit requires, for example, assessments. So we have complete exams on the material that are proctored. And so one of the fees that you would have to pay for is ProctorU, is a proctoring service to make sure that that the examination is being taken properly and nobody's getting an unfair advantage. We want to make sure all the students in this program are treated fairly, and so we require that proctoring for all students for this exam. If you study hard for your exam, we want to make sure that you get proper credit for that and somebody else isn't getting through the exam easier without knowing the material. So you have to pay for proctoring. You have to pay Coursera for the MOOCs that form the lecture part of the course, and that's typically $158 per course for the 2 MOOCs that are used for the lecture component. And there may be some additional fees for cloud computing platform, Amazon Web Service fees. We have a deal with Amazon where students get credit on their cloud platform. Some students want to explore further, and if you explore further, you may need to buy additional credits on Amazon or other cloud services in order to do that exploration. So those are the costs of tuition. Do you want to talk about financial aid?
Yeah, so if you are, let me just skim through this, because for domestic students, our degree programs are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. So if you apply to this program and if you're a domestic student, students would be eligible to receive federal funding, financial aid, and they would apply through the FAFSA process. But since we are speaking mostly to an international group of applicants, you may still be able to look into options that are available to you through, for example, your employer, to see if they have a tuition reimbursement program, or if you have other types of scholarship programs available to you. What is important is that the MCS program is offered online, but it is the same accredited degree program that we offer on campus, and there is no difference in terms of the accreditation processes. The department is not able to provide funding for any of our online students, because most of our graduate students hold research or teaching assistantships, and this is not a feasible remote option at this point. Another question we get is, could a third party, for example, if your employer participates in a reimbursement program, could they directly make the payments on your behalf? and there is an option available for that. It's a sponsor billing process where the student would sign up and the employer would provide some documentation and you get all set. Another point to consider, which is not on this slide, is that if you are paying, let's say, out of pocket, you can sign up for a payment plan. And each semester, students are billed only for the classes they take each semester, as John mentioned before. So you do not need to pay upfront for all 32 credit hours. If you take one class a semester, then that's going to be $2,400 for that semester. And you can sign up to pay the $2,400 in several installments. So it could be 3, 4, or 5 installments. The number of installments depends on how far ahead you sign up. So that is an option to keep in mind if that is a concern. I think we can go to the next slide.
Let me mention a couple more things about financial aid. It's an accredited program. It's approved program for financial aid from your country. It's our students get in this program offered through the Coursera platform. You get your degree from the University of Illinois. The degree won't say Coursera, it won't say online. Students are admitted under the same criteria that we admit students to our on-campus programs. You're getting the same degree as everybody else. Your transcripts and your physical degree won't have any indication of getting it online or on campus. We don't make a difference in that. We invented online education here back in the 70s. We've offered this degree online since the 90s, and we're utilizing Coursera now as a way of being able to offer it to a much wider audience. But we know how to offer these things online. And so they have the appropriate approvals for things like financial aid. With that said, the department does not offer any financial aid for this degree. We don't have any assistantships available for these students. Part of our ability to expand this degree and the opportunity it presents to a wide audience is that we have to depend on the tuition dollars coming in order to be able to fund the program. So this program isn't eligible for assistantships. It's not from the CS department. We don't have any CS scholarships or anything for this program. But if there are programs available in your home country or other programs that are available, you're certainly encouraged to explore those. And this is a fully accredited degree program eligible for financial aid, perhaps through your country. But we don't have any financial aid available here in computer science for students in this program. Okay. These are some important links.
Yes. So those are the important links. The first link takes you to our general online Master of Computer Science program. You may have seen through news articles that we are expanding our broad online program through the Coursera platform. We have been offering a data science track since fall of 2016 on the Coursera platform. So it's now that Master of Computer Science program is being expanded. So the first link will take you to the general page. And if you're interested more in the Master of Computer Science Data Science track, there is a link in that program. Please do take a look on that website, because it gives you the type of classes that would be available, what the requirements are. There are some information about course descriptions. There are some syllabi that are available. There's a lot of information out there. The second one is where you would apply through the Graduate College portal. It will take you directly to the application portal. You would have to create an account if you already do not have an account. It's a very simple process. Doesn't take a lot of time to create the account, but then you would be submitting all your material through there. The third link is to our campus website about financial aid. It gives all the information about what's being assessed, how the billing is done, how you can sign up for payment plans, the sponsor billing, all that information is there. One thing, let's say you are admitted And if you have, for example, questions about your tuition bill, that is not something that the department would handle, and we would point you to the right place, which would be this financial aid office, for students to contact the right campus office to get their questions answered.
Okay.
I think this is the last slide.
Yeah, let's see. Yep. So let's go. Actually, let me just end the sharing. There it is. Okay. So as Viveka mentioned, we have a data science focus in our Master of Computer Science. That means you can apply for the Master of Computer Science, and you can focus on any of a number of areas of computer science. You can take coursework in software engineering, in parallel programming, in artificial intelligence, or you can focus on data sciences. And if you focus on data sciences, then we've got a set of 4 core courses that we recommend for students in data science. And so it's a departmental track in data science that focuses on data mining, data visualization, cloud computing, and machine learning, specifically for data sciences. Now, the degree will still be the same Master of Computer Science that students focusing in software engineering or parallel computing would get, but there's no distinction on the degree. But you know, on your resume, on LinkedIn, on anything else, you can say that you completed the data sciences portion, the data sciences focus of that MCS, and we call that the MCS-DS, the MCS-DS. But it's the same MCS degree, and the admissions criteria are the same for students. We don't have a separate application for MCS-DS than MCS. It's just an MCS program application. And once you join the program, you can decide if you want to focus on the data sciences or some other area of computer science.
Perfect. John, do we want to go into doing question and answer now?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, so the very first question we have is that somebody says, my major's not CS, so what does need to include data structures mean? And will a Coursera data structure certificate be meaningful?
Okay, so data structures is a key course in computer science education. Here at the University of Illinois, the course number is CS 225. So if you look at CS 225, you can see what a data structures course includes. You know, even before students take that, in our 125 course on programming, we'll teach things like sorting and searching algorithms and recursion. A data structures course talks about other data structures like heaps, and C++ and class structures and object-oriented programming, and how to implement B trees and other and graph data structures, sparse data structures, ways of implementing these data structures in a production language like C++. So take a look at CS 225 at the University of Illinois. That's our course on data structures. And the reason is all of our graduate level courses require that one key course. And so if a student doesn't have that one key course, they wouldn't be able to register for any of our graduate level computer science courses. They wouldn't be able to complete the degree. So that's a real hard requirement for students to be admitted into the program. Your best option is to take a course on data structures. It can be at a local community college. Many students have taken that course, and others in their undergraduate degree, even if they majored in some other course. If you don't have it already, then see if a local community college or some other local educational institution offers that course. You can also take that course online for credit from other universities. I don't think we offer it online yet, but we're working on that. But you can take that course. I've got another student that's taking that course currently at Berkeley, and I think there's other online options available for that course, but that's a key prerequisite. You can complete that course through a Coursera specialization sequence. There's specialization sequences at Stanford, at San Diego, I think Johns Hopkins, there's a couple other places that have data. No, it's Duke. Duke has a data structures sequence. So you can do a specialization sequence. If you do that, make sure you include the name of the sequence and the URL that lists the certificate that you get. So you have to pay for this specialization sequence, and you have to include that certificate that tells us that you completed that sequence. That's an option. It's not as strong an option as taking it for credit, because that makes sure that you have all the additional for credit requirements, including a grade, because we also look at the grades for that. But that's one way you can address that deficiency if you don't have data structures already. One other thing I want to add, since we're talking about filling out the application and making sure that you list if you have a Coursera or other MOOC coursework as a specialization sequence for one of those key classes like data structures or object-oriented programming or algorithms. If you have coursework, make sure you list the specific name of the course and the name and the course number and when you took it in the application. There's a little fill-in box about that. Make sure you list all of that information. You want to make your application as clear as possible so that we have every opportunity to understand the way you've met each of these prerequisites. So that's a little bit of advice to improve your chances of getting admitted.
Excellent. So there are a lot of questions about TOEFL, and I am going to kind of pepper you with these because I think everyone feels like their situation's slightly different. And so does it apply this way or that way? So the first one is, I'm an international student. I'm pursuing my PhD in the United States right now. Can TOEFL be waived?
So if you have been in the program for 2 years plus, then there is a waiver that can be requested. If you had just started, let's say this past fall, then it is not enough time.
Got it. Okay, next person. Oh, the next person says they've been working in the United States for 10 years. Does that qualify?
If you have been working in the United States for more than 2 years, yes, that qualifies you for a waiver, but we do require that you send the department documentation from your employer that you have been employed in the US, based in the US, and that information is on our website. You can see specifically there's information for online students to seek a waiver.
Got it. And then another person, it sounds the same. He has a master's degree in engineering from an accredited US university. It would be waived if the master's degree was more than 2 years and he was in residence for those 2 years.
Yeah, so if there is an awarded degree, that degree can be awarded in the past 5 years, and the 5 years is counted from the expected enrollment in the degree program. So for someone, since these are most of the participants are looking to apply for fall 2018, if your degree was awarded anytime fall 13 on, that would allow you a waiver. So if your degree was, let's say, if your degree was awarded 10 years back, and let's say you've been working in the US since then, your awarded degree does not make you eligible, but your employment history would make you eligible. So there are two options, and you can pick the one that is most relevant.
Excellent. And then Dilip asks, I've been working for 1.5 years in Silicon Valley. Does that work? And the answer would be no, because it's 2 years of work experience.
That is correct.
Okay, excellent. And I'm going to just quickly scroll through to see if there's any more around here. So it looks like I'm going to move away from the TOEFL and ask a little bit about some transcripts. It looks like there's some transcripts. So somebody says, my official transcript is in Greek, literally in Greek, right? So do they have to translate it or get it translated? How does that work for you guys?
Yes, we do need a translated copy. So what you would do is attach a copy of the original plus a translation. If you could, and there are approved translators or translating agencies. If you go to our grad college website, which is www.grad.uofficial.edu, transcripts.illinois.edu. And if you just search for your country in the search box, it will give you the requirements for a specific country, and that includes what the approved translations are. Now, for the initial review process, we can take an informal translation, but if a student is admitted, then the submission of the transcripts would include formal approved translations. We wish we spoke a lot of different languages, but we are somewhat limited, so we do need the English translations to review the applications.
Excellent. Okay. So then there's a question around what exactly means unofficial transcripts or official transcripts? Can you give a definition of what those two are?
Okay, let's say that you have a copy of your transcript in the sense that it shows for each term or semester that you were enrolled in, here are the classes you took, here are the grades you received. And if you make a copy of it, this is a document that you have at hand, you make a copy of it, it is an unofficial transcript for us because it came from the applicant. If you had, for example, many of the institutions in India would have mark sheets, and those mark sheets would show again by term, by the number, by the class, including class title and the grades and the scores received. So if you make a copy of that, that would be an unofficial score sheet for us, which we can use for evaluating the application.
Okay.
We do want to make sure that unofficial copy includes the grading scale. For example, some institutions would say a 3.0 is a B grade. So what the graduate college looks for is a 3.0 minimum GPA, which means a B average if you're translating it into a different grading scale. So this is why we need the grading scales that are used by your institution. So let me get to what an official transcript is. An official transcript is something that is sent or issued directly by the home institution. So there are two ways that these can come. One, you can ask your home institution to send it directly to our graduate college, and they will ship it out. You will not get it in your hands. It will come directly to the graduate college. Or what you can also do is ask your home institution to send the transcripts to you. But in that case, they have to be in envelopes that are signed and sealed. And if you go this route, do not open those envelopes. You would just want to put it in another envelope and send it to the University of Illinois Graduate College, because then they will see that this is an unopened document that came from the university. I hope that answers the question.
I think it does. And then there's another question from someone saying that they don't have transcripts since 1985, right? They graduated a while ago. Now, I assume all universities keep transcripts forever, right? So they can go to that institution and ask for them?
Yep.
Yes.
So there's no issue. They don't have to come up with any other alternative. They just get their transcripts from the university they graduated from, even if it was 30 years ago.
That is correct. It could take a little bit more time if the documents are still in paper form, but this is something that the applicants would have to plan for. So let me just add a little bit. So let's say I'm admitted to the program. It's going to take me some time to get these official transcripts. You can enroll in the first semester until you get your official transcripts in. But then let's say I start in the fall term somewhere around, I have to submit those official transcripts somewhere around September of that fall term for me to be able to register for the next spring term. So you can register for the first term you're admitted, even if the official transcripts are not sent. But then you will not be able to register for semesters beyond that. It gives applicants a little bit extra time to get these documents turned into the graduate college.
Perfect. So it looks like we got most of the transcripts. This one, I think you probably get this question a lot, is gee, if I take, I'm working in the US, and if I take this program, will it extend my I-20 for international students?
We do get this question. It does not, because it's an online program which doesn't require any campus presence. So for any of our online students, the university will not issue I-20s for students on F1 visas. So students have to be, international students have to be on a visa that allows them to be students. So it cannot be, for example, on a tourist visa, because tourist visas do not allow study. But if you're, for example, if you're in the US on an H-1B visa, with your employer's approval, you can be in a graduate program. So when we get this question, we do get this question, say, I am in the US under visa type, let's say X. Can I study? And then we would first refer you to go back and check with your HR and your manager that you can actually study. And our graduate college would require a copy of your current visa status, but no I-20s, and no I-20s to be extended if you're on a current I-20.
Okay. Somebody asked can students still pursuing a bachelor's degree apply? So this sounds like somebody who's like maybe a senior and they want to apply for next year.
You certainly can apply. We do get a lot of applicants in our general graduate student programs. We do have a lot of current undergraduate students who apply. What is required is, let's say you're applying for fall term this year, you need to have your undergraduate degree awarded by the end of summer. So there is a time gap between applying and starting the program. You need to have that degree awarded by the time you start the master's program.
Excellent. Now we have a bunch of people who are asking questions about, like, am I eligible, right? They have very specific things, like somebody has a 3 years bachelor's in computer science. Do 3 years bachelor's qualify for you guys?
A 3-year bachelor's is generally not eligible. Again, this is country specific. For example, I'm pulling out some examples that we have from our experience. 3-year bachelor's from, for example, India will not be eligible. If you have a 3-year degree, for example, from India, then you would need another 1-year postgraduate diploma that comes from an accredited institution. So it could not be a diploma that comes from let's say, a private agency. It has to be an accredited institution's diploma. There are some other countries where the 3-year degrees are eligible. So again, the best source is to go to the graduate college, search for your country, and then see which degrees are eligible if you have any questions about this. If you have a 4-year degree, then those are eligible.
Got it. And this person in specific says they have a 3 years bachelor's and then a 3 years master's, and they're both from university grants in India.
So there is, I think I saw that question go by, and I think that was a computing related master's.
Yep.
And then this is another caveat that we should add.
Yeah, I just answered the question on that. If you already have a master's degree in computing, we can't give you a second master's degree in computing. For those students, if you apply, what we'll do is recommend you for a certificate in data science, which means you can take the coursework, and we can't give you a master's degree, but we can give you a Department of Computer Science at the University of Illinois certificate in data science that shows that you have the same skills and abilities as students completing the MCS-DS.
Okay, I'm trying to see what other types of questions. There's been a couple questions about, like, when is the curriculum going to be available online to see what's coming? There's some stuff that says coming soon. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I didn't know that. Let me bring up the website because I didn't think that we had.
Just wondering when the curriculum will be available online. I see it is still the status.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We recently announced, we're just now completing all of the coursework for the data science program. So if you want to get your Master's of Computer Science focusing on data science, that coursework is just completed. We'll be introducing new courses in the coming year, starting in the fall. Coursework on parallel computing, coursework on scientific computing, coursework on software engineering, and many other areas of computer science beyond the data sciences. Because that coursework is just coming online, some of the details of those courses haven't been announced yet.
Got it. Someone asked specifically, are there any courses related to electronics and embedded? I don't quite understand what they mean by
embedded systems.
Embedded systems.
Not presently.
Okay.
The cloud computing course is a distributed systems course, and that overlaps a little bit with embedded computing, but just on the networking aspects of it. We're looking at in the future having an Internet of Things course, which would also overlap a little bit with embedded systems, but that's as close as we plan on getting to embedded systems in the next several years.
Okay, another course question was, are the courses from the scientific computing specialization part of the MCS program?
Yeah, those are coming online. So we've got a course coming from Mike Heath. Professor Heath wrote the book on scientific computing that everybody uses, and he's currently working on a course on scientific computing, a very popular course we have on campus. We're putting that on the platform. That should be available, I think, in the spring. Yeah. I think we're planning on rolling that out next spring semester, about in January. So that will be coming online along with scientific computing, high performance computing. Typically, when you're doing scientific computing, you want performance, and performance these days means parallel programming. We've had a number of high impact works on parallel programming. We've got Blue Waters, which is the fastest supercomputer on any college campus, and we've been doing parallel programming here, for decades. In fact, some Berkeley professors have said that we invented parallel programming back in the 70s. But that parallel programming course will be coming online, I believe, also next year in the spring, fall or spring. It's coming together now, and so rolling these courses out, we want to make sure we don't roll it out until the course is ready, and so we're still looking at when that course is going to be released. But that's a course by Sanjay Kali, and he's a worldwide recognized leader in parallel programming. Developed the Charm++ system. That's the platform that they use for some of the recent science publications on recent results revealing more detail about the HIV virus and other things. So that'll be coming online too. So we're really excited about that. You just have to stay tuned because we'll be rolling those courses out in the next year, and so we're really excited about them, but we don't have the details for them yet because they're just being developed this year, and we'll keep you informed.
Perfect. Well, I have two more questions. We're basically at time, so I'm going to have you answer two more, and then we will be sharing this recording of the webinar with everyone who's in attendance, so people can view it again. So the one question is it practical to complete the entire program of 32 credits within 12 months for non-working professionals?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And all of our courses are offered at least once per year. And if you're a full-time student, basically devoting all of your time, yes, each of these courses should take between 10 and 12 hours to complete on average per week. And so you'd be taking, say, 3 courses in the fall, 3 courses in the spring, and 2 in the summer, and that would be, between 30 and 36 hours during the fall and spring semesters.
Great. So then kind of that person was interested in how fast can you complete it? The next person's wondering, well, how long? It's like, what's the maximum duration afforded to complete?
So if you take one class a semester, a very leisurely pace, you'll finish in a little less than 3 years.
Okay.
And that's our expectation. We recommend students not take longer than 5 years. You can, if you need to skip semesters, if there's things you need to, to attend to from time to time, then, every other semester and so on. Some students can take as long as 5 semesters, but we usually don't recommend taking longer than that.
Well, excellent. I think we're done. So for everybody who came, thank you so much. Like I said, we will be sending out this recording. And then if you have other questions, please refer to the website. Can you repeat the web address again for the grad college, Viveka?
Do you want to?
Sure. For the grad college is just grad.illinois.edu. And then you can go to the computer science department for more details on the program. That's just cs.illinois.edu.
Excellent. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.